6 years of trading taught me three brutal life lessons. I've been trading for the past 6 years. I've had big losses. I've been wrong more times than I like to admit. But you know what hurt the most? It's missing the big wins because I was afraid. And over time I realized something. It's that trading isn't really about the money. It's about who I am under pressure. Now, let's start off with the lessons, the three lessons that I'm talking about. So, which you can, or which I have implemented in my daily life. So, the first lesson is that fear is more expensive than a loss. What I mean by that is, yeah, obviously, big losses hurt, obviously. Seeing red on the screen hurts. But you know what hurt more? Exiting early, because I was too afraid, because I was not confident in my, let me reframe, because I did not trust my system, because I did not trust my process. I'll give you an example. You take a position, you make a small profit, you exit. Wait a minute. No. You take a position, you make a small loss. The truth is, it's just consolidation. Consolidation is basically just some mean reversion to something that bridges the gap between abnormal and normal returns. Okay, that is nothing to worry about. But exiting in that small loss and then seeing the trade go like you analyzed it to happen. Does that make sense? That feeling, that definitely stays longer than a loss. A loss has taught me risk, but exiting early has taught me regret. And it's that regret is, it's just that regret is heavier. And trading has made me realize something about life, that it is not about, I'm reading this exactly from my script because it is something important that I want to talk about. It's not that the mistakes haunt you, it's the hesitation. It's the opportunities that you did not take, the risk that you did not step into, and the move you delayed because you wanted certainty. My friend, my lovely friend, there is no certainty to life. The earlier you realize that, the better. Because fear, and this is one thing I know for sure, fear is definitely more expensive than being wrong. Now, moving on to the second lesson, is that if you don't follow, like I mentioned, if you don't follow a system, you become, if you don't follow a system, you become the risk. What I mean by that is, for a long time, okay, my profits were negligible and sometimes negative. And I kept thinking, maybe I need to tweak my system, maybe I need to change the indicators that I'm using, or maybe it's just that my analysis is wrong. But the truth was that the problem wasn't with my system, it was with me. I was not being patient. I could not just sit with the boredom. Because sometimes, rather, in the earlier days, a lot of times, if nothing was happening, like if there was no needle moving, then I felt that I was not doing anything, which is wrong. Because even back then, my processes, if I followed them, they were absolutely, not perfect, but like they definitely did generate phenomenal results if anybody followed them. But like I said, I was treating like a human, and what I mean by that is, I am a human, don't get me wrong, but what I mean by that is, I was trading from emotions, and That is where the problem is. You cannot you cannot be emotional when it comes to your life. You have to be absolute, you have to be objective to live or rather lead a great life, because emotional humans take unnecessary risks. And the turning point was actually when I genuinely just started to follow my system, because I knew now I can trust my process tension free. I mean, obviously there's some form of you get what I'm trying to say. Like, but I was able to follow my system. This more or less the same setups, just just small refinement as the years pass, and the same logic as well. But the discipline, that is what changed, and suddenly my performance improved. I learned that if you don't follow a system, you become the risk. Okay, directly quoting from my script. If you don't have standards, you drift. If you don't have a structure, you self-sabotage. And you want neither to be the case. Because freedom without, I mean, yeah, freedom is beautiful, but freedom without structure is something on the path towards self-destruction. This is something that we'll talk about later on in my videos. Now moving on to the third lesson, which is detachment creates performance. Right. So the times when I performed the best were when I was not caring about how much money I made, but just following my system, like I said, like a machine. Buy at the entry level, sell at the target or stop loss, etc., etc., etc. Okay, that is when I performed my best. I did not need to win. I just told myself I want to follow my process. I'm going to follow my process, my friend. And it was when I was this calm, patient, and open to changes. Because sometimes what happens is, when you are in a negative position, you tend to be like, oh no, it's gonna let me just wait until it break evens. But yes, again, like I said, when I traded like a machine, when my setup told me to sell, I sold. When my machine told me to buy, I bought. That is when I made the most amount of profit. I mean, the moment that I needed money, when I was obsessing with money, that is when I lost, which hurts. But again, it's what it is. You need to let go. You need to let go of the outcome to become better, to work with discipline. You need to let go of the outcome, because when you are attached to the outcome, what happens is you tend to work from a very scarce mindset, my friend. And I truly believe this, my friend. There is nothing in this world that is not in your hands, but you need to put in the work for that. You cannot be like, oh, this is something that I'm going to get. Yeah, obviously you're going to get that, but forget about the getting part. Focus on what do I need to do to get it. That basically changed how I saw everything. When you chase results, you rush. When you chase validation, these mosquitoes. When you chase validation, you look needy. When you chase money, you force things. This was trading specific rather, but when you focus on the process, results follow in everything rather. And let go of your ego. Focus on patience and building true self-confidence. Now, okay, so like I said, these were going to be 3 lessons, but now adding just a final lesson quickly. Okay, I'll just quickly finish that. which is revenge trading. I don't necessarily know how to frame this as a life lesson, but something that you can listen to. Maybe you can get something out of it. There's this moment every trader knows. You enter, it reverses, you exit, it reverses again, proving you were right. What happens is, in that second, like I mentioned earlier as well, in that second, you feel like the universe is conspiring against you, but it's not the universe. The universe doesn't even know that you exist. It's not the universe. It's your ego reacting to being wrong, even temporarily. Trading for trading forced me to confront my ego, and I had to I had to be humble. Otherwise, I mean, if I wasn't humble, I wouldn't be able to stand in the market for the past 6 years. Touch wood. Now closing. So 6 years later, what did trading really teach me, if you will? Follow your system. Be patient. The market punishes. Market over here can be the universe or the world or life or work, whatever it is that you are pushing against. The market punishes emotions, and the goal isn't to predict outcomes. It's to control yourself, because that is the only thing that you can do in life. You can only control yourself. You cannot. Nothing outside of your body is in your control. Know that. Okay. And if I'm being very honest, if I'm being very honest, the profits that I've made don't even come close to the lessons I've learned. Thank you.